I'd have crawled in if I'd known he was coming.
Yeah, well, I know Tony scored a hat-trick at Kettering once, and he had a celebration, goal celebration, is that correct?
I don't know, did he?
No? He tells me he had scored a hat-trick.
No, it was at home, it was Cambridge United, and we beat 3-0. I did get through and I came off a quarter of an hour before we finished to get an extra
To get the drinks in.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, but just a little bit more background. Some of you will have seen the trophy in the Dublin Suite this afternoon. The last time we had a trophy, we won a competition, was in 1969 when you were a manager, and that was the Southern League Cup. And Bill was manager of that on that day. He came to the Abbey in 1967 after managing Doncaster and Workington, and a playing career which saw you win the FA Cup with Man City and play for them over 250 times. And you played in the famous Bert Trampman final when he broke his neck. While you were here, you did the Southern League and Cup double in 1969. You won the Southern League Championship in 1970 and election to the Football League in the same year for Cambridge United. So that's a fantastic achievement. And the promotion to the third division in 1973. You gave Cambridge United that platform that it could build on for future years, and all supporters should be really grateful for the time that you were here, and you changed Cambridge United from what was then just a provisional football club to somebody who could challenge the greats within the game. So thank you very much. Today with your friend Dennis Rolfe, who was chairman at Cambridge City, and you were manager at Cambridge City for a period. Let's start off with some questions. I'd like to start with one. I used to live in Reading. In 1969, I used to follow Reading until we moved up here. George Harris, Colin Meldrum, you signed from Reading. How did you do it? Because, you know, I saw them playing for Reading, and they were the best players, and you took the best players, and you brought them here. How did you do it?
It was very simple, I told them to them, not me.
Yeah?
That's all it was about, really. I think Cambridge United, in my time, let me tell you this, I had over 90 players here in my time, in just under 8 years. And there was only ever one player that I went to sign that didn't sign. That was a player playing for Weymouth. He'd been there about 12 years then. A centre half, and he was a damn good player. And it's because he'd been there so long he didn't want to move. But every other player I wanted to sign, I signed, including him. I pinched him from Chelmsford, along with a few others. And you're not going to believe this, but I had somebody down there on the board who told me everything that was going on.
Chelmsford won the championship and you took their best players.
That's right. Well, Chelmsford were probably the best team in the league anyway. And they had a damn good manager, didn't they, Tony?
Yeah, I said that to one of the directors here today. When I think how Cambridge United have done now, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Chelmsford was always a bigger and better club. I mean, they had some terrific players and a lot of money at Chelmsford. But when I come back here and see how you've done here, it's great. Brilliant. Yeah.
Well. We had good players at the right time.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Cassidy, you brought Cassidy here?
Cassidy?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've been to Cassidy.
Yeah,
Bill Cassidy been playing for the Detroit Cougars in America. And somebody, my information informant down there, told me that Bill Cassidy was back again.
Yeah.
And where he was living in a clubhouse actually for a while. So I got in the car straight away, drove down there, knocked on the door. He came to the door and said, right, get in your car, you come here with me. He said, get in your car and come here, just follow me. We're going back to Cambridge United, I'm going to sign you. You play for me next season, and that's exactly what he did. That was the sort of influence that I seem to have on players. I knew exactly what I wanted. I never tried to tell any player that he ought to be doing something that he wasn't really good at. And that was the secret of it all. If you got a right winger, all you wanted from the right winger was to go down the line, get the ball across the middle to people like him. So you didn't say right. I mean, nowadays they're on about all the wingers are backtracking all the time. They're playing fullback. Why? If you've got a good enough team, if you've got good enough players at the back, you don't need them. You let them go. It's goals you want to score. There should be more clubs looking to score more goals. I mean, Mourinho at Chelsea, he gets on my wicket, he does. And he thinks he knows everything about football, and he should be telling all the referees what to do. And he plays a defensive game. He keeps saying, I haven't got a centre forward. Of course he's got a centre forward. He's got centre forward, but he just doesn't use them properly. It's all defence. When I signed Tony, and players like, I mean, it wasn't just him. I watched Cambridge United play. Who's the tall boy that plays on loan?
Right, Bird.
I don't know who he was. Where's he?
Portsmouth.
Sorry?
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth. Well, I would have left him in Portsmouth, what I saw of him, because I'd got 6 centre forwards better than him. And I mean, honestly, I mean that. I'd got 6 players playing centre forward who were better than him.
Ian Hutchinson, you signed Ian Hutchinson.
Ian Hutchinson, I pinched him as well. I'll tell
So
you
you've
the
only
story of
been
Ian Hutchinson. I saw him play half a game. And then, at the time, I had, oh dear, centre forward. Anyway, I'm going to play it in. I said, right, well, I want you to go and watch this player for me. Actually, they played Chelmsford when you were playing for them. And I said, how did he get on? He said, well, he never had a kick of the ball hardly, because Chelmsford had a good side, didn't he, tell you at that time? He said he hardly had a kick of the ball. So he said, hey, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to sign him. So he said, what, on half a game? I said, on half a game, yeah, I'm going to sign him. So I went up there, and the manager there had just left Doncaster Rovers when I went to Doncaster Rovers as manager. And I'd seen him, and he played for Newcastle, he did, so I knew him anyway. So I rang him up, and I said, you've got a player there, Ian Hutchinson. I said, I want to buy him. So how much do you want for him? He said, 2,000 quid. I said, right, I'm coming up. So off I went, spoke to the player, told him I wanted him to come down here. He said, well, I'll have to have a word with your parents. So I went home with him. And I went home with him, and his parents were saying, well, he's got an apprenticeship at the gasworks or something like that. And I actually got him a job down here at the gasworks. So I said, well, look, I want to sign him. I can assure you that he won't stay at Cambridge United long. So anyway, I talked him into it. I think we had to give him 200 quid or something like that out of the 2,000. Or they gave him, at Burn, they gave him 100 quid and we gave him 100 quid. And well, anybody that's old enough knows what sort of player he was. He's a brilliant player. And because he came down here, he just got everything for a centre forward. He could put the ball in the net, he could fight his own battles, nobody knocked him over. And he was, and he a smashing lad as well. A really, I mean, he's been dead a long, long time now. But a real smashing bloke. So I signed him. We played Corby at Corby when Corby had a real good side. Yeah, when there was a lot of work there. Yeah. We got a lot of Scots about. A lot of Scotsmen. Yeah. And the centre half playing for Corby, he sold Hutchinson sold him such a dummy, it fell down and broke his leg. So anyway, at that match, Frankie Blunston played left wing for Chelsea, and Frankie Blunston made his debut for Crewe the same time as I made mine for Chesterfield. So I actually knew him from that day. But Ron Stewart was the assistant to Dave Sexton at Chelsea, and he rang me and he said, now then Bill, this Hutchinson you've got playing for you. He said, he's from Lincoln, isn't he? I said, you know damn well he's not from Lincoln. You know where he's from. And it turned out that what happened was, he sent Frankie Blunston to watch Keith Barker in goal, playing goal. And he'd been, because he'd seen Hutchinson, he said, how much do you want for him? So I said, well, I'll tell you what I want for him. I want 5,000 quid for him, but when you win the cup, this is gospel. If Mr. Woolley was here, he would tell you, I said, when you win the cup, you come and play up here against us. And that's exactly what happened, you know. They won the cup. And I mean, I took Mr. Woolley to the replay at Old Trafford. But Ian went there reluctantly, and he just got among the wrong people. I warned him about going to London to play down there. I said, you've got to watch yourself because there'll be all sorts of hangers on and you never know what might happen to you. And he got among the wrong people. His cup final medal was stolen twice, he said, 3 times altogether. And, you know, I took that with a pinch of salt. But he was such a damn good player. But somebody asked me before, or somebody had asked me over a number of years, well, if you had so many good players at Cambridge United, who was the best one? Well, I've got to hesitate to pick a best one because then people who watched us probably didn't realise how good those players were. They were damn good players. And the conference, I mean, it's been just the same in the conference. If they'd been in the conference, it's with the conference now, in my opinion, because they were such good players. And very little trouble for many of them. There were only 3 players that I got rid of because they were a nuisance. And I'll leave you to guess those.
It wouldn't be Bill Cassidy, would it?
Sorry?
It wouldn't be Bill.
Bill Cassidy was all right, actually.
Yeah, well, that's the stories about him.
Let's open it up. Is there anybody who's got a question?
There's, I seem to remember back in the 70s at Colchester. Am I right in saying that you once took the team off the pitch?
How much what?
You once took the team off the pitch because you.
Well, I wanted to take them off. They wouldn't go off. It was only a friendly game.
That's right. Yeah.
It was a friendly game, and the referee was so bad. I mean, players being about 5 yards offside, and he wasn't blowing his whistle and all that sort of thing. I thought I'm wasting my time here. On top of that, what you don't know is, we were sat in the box there, and I was having to go to the referee, and 2 heads all of a sudden popped round there. Why don't you shut up and all the rest of it? The man and his wife, and they did it for about 5 or 6 times. And I said to him, I said, you put your head round there once more, and I'll throw this bucket of water at you. They enjoyed it, didn't they? They enjoyed a bucket of water between them.
As good as today's referee then, was he?
Sorry?
It was as good as today's referee, was he?
Well, actually, I thought it was a good game. They were equal. To be honest, after 20 minutes, half an hour, I was saying to myself, this is going to be a draw. But I didn't expect to go like they played. They got.
No.
It was a real cracker, wasn't it?
It was.
Mike.
Bill, great to meet you. I was very fortunate to interview 3 of your 1973 4th Division Championship side for our centenary book. Brian Greenhalgh, Willie Watson and David Lill. They're all great blokes, they all spoke very highly of you. How do you think they'd get on in today's game?
Brian Greenhalgh was, because Brian, I got him from Huddersfield.
Yeah.
And what you wouldn't know about that is that I had Ian Greaves was manager at Huddersfield, who used to play for Man United. I was in hospital at the same time as Ian Greaves in Manchester, and I talked to him about, you know, I talked about football obviously, and I said to him, I said, if you get any players, if you're letting any players go at any time, give me a ring because I'd like to have a look. So he rang me and told me that Brian Greenhalgh was going. So what did I do? I signed Brian Greenhalgh, came down here. It was a bit of a handful in a way, because he wanted everybody else to work the ball till he got it in front of goal, and he just kicked it in the net. It didn't quite happen like that. So what I did, I set him up. We used to have a meeting probably every week in the dressing room, and I told all the other players, right, what I'm going to do, I said I'm going to praise him and run you lot down. So they're saying, right, well, what if you deliver the right ball to him, he's not going to have to gallop all over the pitch. And I could see, I watched him play carefully, and I could say, oh, there's somebody believes in me here. And I sold him for, I don't know, it was 25 or 30,000 quid. Got him for nothing. And who was the other one?
It was Dave Lill and Willie Watson.
Willie Watson, I signed Willie Watson, the first kid I ever signed at Doncaster Rovers. At Doncaster Rovers, when I first went there, we had trial matches for that area's kids team. And Jackie Bestall, who was my assistant, he was in a way at Doncaster. He was an older chap, Jackie, he was about 60 I think when I joined them. But we had all those kids there, hundreds of them. And in fact, I'll ask you something about this in a minute. And what we did, Jackie Bestow sat on one side of the pitch and I sat on the other, played for 10 minutes and said, right, we'd compare notes, do you fancy anybody? Like, Willie Watson was the first one. We all called him Willie. He was the first one. And he cried his eyes out when I fetched him off. And I stood at the side of his father and I said to his father, what's wrong with him? He said, he's crying because you don't want him. I said, it's not that we don't want him, he stands out like a sore finger. So I signed him there and then. And what's more, we signed 4 other players at the same time, and 3 of them made it in league football and made quite a lot of money for themselves. And that was my first job there. And it was David Lill.
David Lill. He said he made all Brian Reed House's goals for him.
Well, the one thing I remember that stands out about David Lill was a free kick, not a free kick. He shot at goal. We had a replay in the FA Cup, I suppose it was, on Notts ground, not Forest, I think it was. And he hit the ball from about 40 yards, and he hit the bar and came back, but just as far. Pretty good player, David. But he should have scored an awful lot more goals than he did score. He's quite capable of doing it because he had a hell of a shot in his right foot. So those are the 3.
Great, thank you.
One made a lot of money, and the others made nothing but enjoyed themselves.
Next question. Who'd like? Go on, Tom.
Bill, I particularly like the wingers. I just wondered who you thought was best out of Rowley Horry and Peter Leggett, because both of them stand in my mind. And just wondered who you thought have 2 different styles, weren't they? But
He probably knows more about Peter Leggett than I do. But we played a friendly match pre-season here when I signed Peter Leggett, and I can remember the left full back. When Peter Leggett got the ball 10 yards away from him, he was turning around and running away. He just didn't know what he was. On his day, he was brilliant, wasn't he, Tony?
Great.
Absolutely brilliant.
Terrific.
And I can remember him coming to the. He had I think he was an Austin, or a little car he had, and he pulled up just on his chains a bit now, just outside what was the main gate there. And he got out because I just pulled up as well. And he got out of his car and the front wheel dropped off. And he just looked at it, he said, well, bugger me. And I said to him, after that particular game, that friendly game, I said, if you play like that, I'm talking about a lot of money at the time, I said, you play like that every week, you'll be worth 50,000 quid to us. I can't play like that every week, he said. But he could have done, couldn't he, Tony, if he wanted to? It was
Peter was bloody good.
Yeah.
He was very good.
I
Very
mean,
quick.
they had one hell of a good team at Chelmsford, there's no question
Very
about that.
quick.
We used to call him the non-league George Best.
Yeah, he's terrific, Peter. Terrific. Well, Terry came and all, didn't he? Bill Nick Terry and all, didn't he? Terry Eads.
Terry Eads, yeah.
So yeah, that's right.
Now then, 1971, don't forget the year. There was a day when I only had 8 outfield players fit. So I applied to get 2 on loan. I got 2 players from Luton on loan, and we played Scunthorpe. Jimmy White scored. Yeah. Who scored for them?
Who scored?
Who scored for them?
Kevin Keegan.
Kevin Keegan,
Yeah.
exactly. And I missed Keegan.
I must say that lad's good. Somebody said that's good lad.
Well,
that
would you
lad.
believe when we had all these school kids at Doncaster,
Yeah.
and I took 4 or 5 of them, he couldn't find where we were playing. He was due to be there. And ever since then, I've said to myself, I could have signed him because he most certainly would have stood out among those kids.
He scored a hell of a goal as well.
Yeah.
Didn't Ray Clements playing goal for them?
Really, I don't know.
Ray Clements played for them.
He did,
Yeah. Probably not that many, no. I remember Keegan.
So many things go on when you're a manager, even at a club like this. I mean, people, it's like talking about how did you get into the league. And as I said before, Mr. Woolley used to go all over the place with me. I used to do 50,000 miles a year, tramping around the country looking at players. And all the players that I signed, as I said before, I looked at them and I said, right, can he do that? Does he enjoy doing that? You've only got Graham Daniels here. I mean, Graham, he's there, look. He knows what I'm going to say.
I was hiding.
I watched him play for Cambridge United. He played at left fullback and he was the worst fullback I've ever played. And I still signed him. To play left wing because it was so blinking obvious he wasn't enjoying the game anyway, and he got the ability to play. So that's how I came to knock at his door at 8 o'clock in the morning. Never forget him.
Charlie Horry.
Rowley,
Yeah.
I got Rowley from York, along with Dennis Walker. And Rowley, I can tell you a story about Rowley Horry as well. Because Rowley Horry got injured here. Anybody remember little Frankie Dursley?
Yes.
That's right. Medical man he was.
Medical.
Do you know how much a week he got? Shall I tell you?
Yeah, go on.
£1. £1. He had every qualification that you could have apart from being a doctor, as good as gold. He fetched Rowley Horry off and he said to me, he said he broke his kneecap, Bill. I said, oh my lord. I said, how long's he going to? Oh, I don't know. 3 weeks later, we went to play up in the Midlands. I said to Rowley, are you ready to play? Yeah, I'm ready to play. Got to half time and he's coming over, before half time, he's coming over to me, hey boss, can I come off? I'm knackered. I said, you're doing all right, mate, you stay where you are. And he really was, I mean, he was a strong lad, Rowley. And what happened, he scored the winning goal with his left foot, which was a swinger. That was Rowley. But he did, you see, exactly what I wanted him to do. He'd get down the line, he'd get the ball in the middle. Ronnie Walton was the best crosser of the ball I think I've ever seen.
Ronnie Walton.
I mean him. I got for nothing and sold him for £5,000. Sold him back where he came from. We used to have meetings every now and again, quizzes before training. And I can remember having this quiz, and I used to ask them the most ridiculous questions. And the ones that got the lowest marks had to clean everybody's boots. Jerry Baker used to say, all right, I'll do it. So Ronnie Walton sat there in the middle. I mean, it's a serious thing, but they all got the papers and they passed on to the next one to mark them. And everything's gone quiet, they're marking the papers. Nelson, Ronnie Walton shouts out, my mother-in-law's a gypsy. And what the hell's that got to do with it? He was a good player, Ronnie.
Next question.
I think he came from Aldershot.
Sorry?
Came from Aldershot, went back to Aldershot. Yeah.
Oh, he did, yeah.
We played him next season, and he was rubbish for Aldershot.
Yeah.
So I think we had the best year out of him.
Next question.
It's not that, it's just a matter of how he handled
Oh,
it.
that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Graham would like to answer.
Bill, all the years I've known you, I don't think I've ever seen Bill frightened, ever. Were you ever frightened as a player or a manager? Never.
No, I frightened a lot of people.
You don't know that.
What was his managerial skills?
Well, funny, we were just chatting. I mean, there were two things you knew with Bill for certain. Number one, he came to my house as a young boy and it did, it all went wrong, football goes wrong, and John Ryan era and everything. And he showed up at my house, I'd never ever clapped eyes on him, ever. 8 o'clock in the morning, stood front door, knocks in Bar Hill. Hello, I've come to sign you. I don't know who you are. He said, well, you soon will. And he came in and he said exactly that. He said, I watched you the last 3 games at United. He said, you have been useless. And he said, but you can play. And then he said, but I bet you've told 1,000 players, you listen to me, you play on the left wing, and I will make you fall in love with football again. And all Bill ever said, ever, 5 years I worked with him, all he ever said to anyone was 2 things. You do what I picked you for, don't try and do anything else. And 2, have respect for me and the team. And if you crossed him on that one, you'd had it. No, it's true, Bill, isn't it?
His big problem, you see, was he thought because he got pace, he'd got to run past everybody at 90 miles an hour.
I'm asking a question.
playing against a player who's got half a brain, the first time he flies past you, you say, right, I'm going to give myself a bit of room now. So what you have to do, you have to change it now and again. So just when he's not expecting it, off you go. And he soon learned that. He didn't learn it here, but he learned it when he came over there.
No, they would be the two things. He kept it really simple, really simple.
It's a simple game, Graham.
Simple.
It's only made more difficult by players who can't do exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
I mean, watching today, I mean, the difference between those playing at the top is whether they are in charge of the ball. So when the ball comes to them to trap it, they trap it. If it comes to them and they just want to stop it, it doesn't fly away 4 or 5 yards like some of those do today. That's the difference. And it's not difficult. It's a simple game. It is a simple game. I mean, I know it's all about money now, but it's still a simple game. And I try to drill that into everybody that played for me. I didn't have to say anything to him because he'd stick the ball in there any time, whatever. Go through a brick wall for you. But it's great being a manager when you're winning, but I mean, you do lose now and again. And the same talking about Aldershot, the same time we played Aldershot, when David Ruston was chairman, I don't know at the same time, when David Ruston was chairman here, Laurie McMenemy, who I knew very well, Laurie McMenemy was manager at Southampton. And we met, we played one game up north, and the next day we were playing down at Aldershot. And we moved into this hotel, and Laurie McMenemy was there, and he said to David Ruston, he said, you want to look after him as a good manager. What happened? I got the sack. All over, innit?
Nigel.
Hi, Bill, I had the pleasure of interviewing you for Fanzine back in 1989 at Milton Road. The piece was called The Godfather, by the way, which I think goes exactly with what I've been hearing about your reputation. You said that when you came to Cambridge in, I think it was '67, you said this isn't a football town and it will take 10 years to make this a football town. But then you said, no, I'm wrong, it will take 110 years. Do you see anything that has changed?
That's exactly what I said. It's not a football area. I mean, if you compare it with the bigger clubs, or some of the smaller clubs, they're really football areas. But this has never struck me like that. But it's always, I mean, your manager's doing a brilliant job now. Because it's, I don't know whether he can attract players like I used to attract them, but in fact I don't know any of his players. But to be up the top of the league, and they were there at one time. Manchester City were top of the league, who I played for. Chesterfield were top of the league, who I played for. And Cambridge United were top of the league, who I played for. All at the same time. And I thought that was lovely. All the top of the league. But it's very difficult. It's very difficult, no matter who you're playing against. Everybody's trying to win, and I mean everybody. And some of the poorest teams can stop you winning, because nowadays what they do, the same thing's happening at Man City. I know Man City are going quite well, but it stands out like a sore finger to me. To get the teams that come there and they say, right, all we're going to do, we might score now, might try and score now and again, but basically we're going to all stay back. And I have said all my career, if you had 17-year-olds, 10, 17-year-olds in a team, and you really coached, when I say coach them, you told them what they'd got to do to keep the opposition out, they could do it. And that's what Mourinho relies on now. He's relying on, I know he's got players that can play in midfield, but that's how it works out. It is a simple game. But it drags around the bend when you're a manager.
Would you like to be a manager in the Premiership now, or do you think that money's ruined the game at that level?
I don't think money's ruined it. I think money's very good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So would you like to be a manager there now?
I'd love to be a manager now, and I'm 82.
Yeah. You'd probably do better than Mourinho.
I don't know whether I want to come back to Cambridge.
What did you enjoy, being a player or a manager?
Well, I played right full back for Man City. I'll tell this is the story why I left Chesterfield. I was at Chesterfield as a 15-year-old. I went in. Actually, I was only a youngster playing football because I was at grammar school. We had a good football pitch and all that sort of thing. So I knew I could play. And one day, because where I lived, in the village where I lived, all the kids played together. But it wasn't like now, with all these, all the computers and God knows what else. We all played together out in the street. And this lad, one of these lads who played with us, he was really getting on my nerves. He was battering me all day. And I'm not an aggressive, well, I'm an aggressive. But I don't want to fight anybody, let's put it that way. And he kept on and on and on to me, and I turned around and I'd knock them. I give him a right good ironing. So I decided then I was going home. So I walking home, and there was a chap stood there who I knew his name, I didn't know what he did or anything. And he said, as I walked over, he said, he's asked for that. I said, he has asked for it, so they're getting on my nerves. So I started chatting to him. I said, what do you do for a living? He said, I'm groundsman at Chesterfield. You're not? I am, he said. Oh, I said, what do you do to get a trial? So he said, well, all I can say is they play practice matches on a Tuesday morning. I'm only 15. So he said, why don't you come down after while I'm at school? So, well, guess what happened? Yes. While at school,
careful, Bill, he's a school teacher.
Yeah. I'm off to Chesterfield. So I stood there and watched them play the game. And because they had loads of players then, a good club, it was a well-run club at the time. So I watched all the game. Bob Brottlebank, a chap called Bob Brottlebank was manager, who eventually went, I think he went to Birmingham or somewhere like that. And he stood there watching the game, and because all the players used to go off except the goalkeeper and two full-backs, and they used to practice defensive things. So I'm stood there, and he came over to me and said, what are you doing here, son? I said, I've come for a trial. Oh, well, you're right. Go on, then go and get changed. So when I got changed, went out, and the two full-backs and the goalkeeper are still there. So he got in the penalty area, the manager, just rolled this ball towards me outside the box. He said, hit that. So I whacked in the back of the net. And the goalkeeper goes. So I did it half a dozen times. When he was desperately trying to stop the ball going in the net, he said, can you do that with your left foot? I said, of course I can. So that's exactly what I did. So I put that past him as well 6 times. And Ray Middleton, his name was, he went to Derby County not long after. He was one hell of a good goalkeeper. And so he said, where do you live? So I said, Clay Cross, which was about 5 miles from Chesterfield. So he said, right, I'll take you home. So he got in his car, drove me home, and when we got home, he said to me, Dad, he said, I'd want to sign him on. If he'd have given me a piece of toilet paper, I would have signed it. because all I wanted was to be recognised as a footballer. From that moment on, I was all right. Till I went in, because I had to go in the force, and I was in the national service 2 years. So I couldn't get off a lot. So in all, I only played about 37 games for the first team. And at Christmas, we had a big motor dealer in Derbyshire and in France. There was a multi-millionaire who treated all the people all the old age pensioners in Clay Cross, where I came from, to a day at the seaside and things like that. And he gave the players at Christmas, those that were in the first team got 50 cigarettes. Those that weren't in the first team at the time got 20 cigarettes. Well, I wasn't in the first team at the time because I was injured. So he comes round, the trainer comes round, no, the manager was, Teddy Davis' nickname was, he came round with a cigarette, 50, 50, 50, 20. So I said, what's that then? So he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I've only got 20 cigarettes. So he said, well, you're not in the team. I said, I'm not in the team because I'm injured. So, and this is the first time I'd ever sworn in my life. So he said, well, I'm sorry, that's all I've got. I said, well, you can stick them right up your arse. and you can put me on the transfer list at the same time. So what happened, I finished up, walked in one morning, the trainer said to me, he said, you want to go to Man City? I said, do I? Next thing, their secretary's there, outside the ground, to take me off to Manchester. My missus at work, she was at work, and a bloke walks in after dinner and said, we see you've lost your husband. And she thought I'd died. I said, no, it's all right, he's gone to Man. Don't tell me you didn't know. So she said, I didn't know. So off I went to Manchester City on my own. And when I got there, before I went there, they wanted to play me right fullback at Chesterfield. And I said, no, I'm as good a centre half as there is in this country, and I want to play centre half. Because I'm not young. And so, so what happened was I got the wrong side of it, right? Because I said, if you play me at right fullback, all I shall do, I shall pick the stuff up, and I'll be gone. And I've always been at that sort of nature. So off I go to Manchester City. I hated it when I first got there because I'm a country lad. I played in the reserves. We went about 25 games in that season without losing a game. And eventually, I got in the first team. And what happened? Where did they play me? Right fullback. I had about 7 or 8 years at it, and I hated every minute. Honestly, I hated it. I wanted to play centre half. So eventually they let me go. They paid £10,500 for me in 1953, which was a lot of money then. They let me go. Actually, I used to go down to Cornwall on holiday, and at the end of the season they put me on the transfer list for £7,500, and I thought that was disgraceful because they'd had everything out of me. To ask £7,500 from me was wrong. So I get back from holiday, being down in what do you call it, in St Ives about 2 months. The phone rang after I'd been in the house about 10 minutes, half an hour perhaps. Walter Griffiths, who was the secretary at Man City, his exact words were, "Where the bloody hell have you been?" And me, not being a swearer, turned around and said, "What the bloody hell's it got to do with you?" So he said, "Doncaster Rovers want you as manager." I said, "Get over there." I said, "I shall please myself whether I go over there or not." And that's how I went off to Doncaster. That's how I started in management. And I wish I'd never finished.
I think everybody's seen those pictures of you walking off the pitch at Wembley with Bert Troutman. What are your memories of that?
Well, normally people wouldn't know, but I was his roommate. I roomed with Bert every time we played away. I never asked him anything about the war, or I knew what he did because I read it. But I never asked him anything about what he'd done. His marriage was in turmoil for years. I never asked him about that. Every now and again he'd say to me, he said, "Can I come and stay at your house tonight?" He'd stay 3 or 4 nights at a time. And Bert, it was one of those people. Actually, last time I saw him, I went up to Man City, and he was there, and he obviously wasn't well then. And I walked up because he got one of our players actually picked one of my ex-teammates, took him to a hotel to stay in. And he got in the car, and I said, "Cheerio then, mate," and he started crying. And that was the last time I saw him. But he was the most. I don't care who they talk about as a goalkeeper. Nobody in my mind will ever be better than Bert Troutman. He was an absolutely wonderful. What people didn't realise about him was, he died of heart trouble. But we used to go. Nowadays they've got so much money, haven't they? Players. What do they do with it all? I suppose they go out in the afternoon and spend it. What we did, we went back and played head tennis. We had 2 gymnasiums under the stand. So we'd go and play head tennis, 1 against 1, which was hard work. So I'm playing with him one morning, and all of a sudden he's flat on his back. And I said to him, because I was taking the mick, "Come on, you're not going to, you know." And he lay there and he said, "Come here." So I went down the other end, "Put your hand here." I thought, good Lord, his heart was racing so fast you couldn't count it. I said, "What's that then?" He said, "It's palpitations." So I said, "Well, what happens if you get them during a game?" He said, "I can't very well lie down like I am now." He said, "If you see me crouching against the goalpost, that's when I've got those." And that, obviously, he went with him the rest of his life. But when he broke his neck at Wembley, I knew better than anybody that he really was hurt. And the fact is that if anybody, we had a massive reception when we got back to Manchester, and if anybody had patted him on the back, he couldn't ride like that. Because I've got three collapsed discs at the bottom of my spine through arthritis. But Bert's, on the, whatever you call them, going down his spine, one had broken in 2, and what had happened, it had stopped the one below it, because it had expanded and breaking in 2, it had stopped the other one below it coming out, otherwise he would have been paralysed or dead. He just didn't realise. He didn't realise at the time how bad up it was.
Did a player's knee catch him?
Sorry?
Did a player's knee catch him? Did he go down that place?
I don't know what it was.
No, he went down.
I don't know what it was that caused him. But you see, nowadays you see goalkeepers go down and a lot of them, well, they finish up in goals. A lot of them because they're like not bird, head first.
Head first.
Head first. So some daft people say, well, he asked for it. Didn't ask for it at all. But I knew he was really hurt because under normal circumstances, if he got kicked on the head, because he used to kick him on the head. Got kicked on the head. got kicked on the head. He just did a bit, oh, it's all right. But he kept on saying, his neck hurt him. So, and the point is that in that cup final, the 2 weeks before we played Luton at Luton, and I'd gone over on my ankle, and before we got on the coach to go home, they changed the cold, whatever, compress on my ankle. They changed it for the 4th time because my ankle came up like that. 2 weeks before Wembley. And I'm saying to myself, they're all of them were saying, because I went back to the club obviously, and all the specialists were saying, no, you've no chance of playing. I said, I'm playing. No, you've no chance of playing. So I had a week's treatment in Manchester, and the team were down in Brighton or somewhere, and I went down to join them for the 2nd week. When I got there, they fixed me up with a blind physiotherapist. I went to see this bloke, and he said, now then, what can I do for you? I said, well, I've gone over on my ankle. I said, it's rather swelled. It swelled a lot. So anyway, during the course of the conversation, I said, will I be fit for Saturday? So he said, what do you mean for Saturday? I said, I'm playing at Wembley on Saturday. Oh, yeah. He said, you might just make it. I made it all right, because I had 2 injections in my ankle. I couldn't feel my foot when I kicked the ball. Can you imagine what that was like? No, I just couldn't feel my foot. 10 minutes from the end. 10 minutes from the end, because all the anaesthetic's gone, right? And I'm in agony. So the reason for me walking off the bird, apart from the fact that he was injured, was the fact that I was injured myself and I was suffering. That's why you see that. But normally, there were in most of the photographs, the 3 of us, they debuted on there as well. We're in the Daily Telegraph, which I only saw for the 3rd time a few weeks ago. It just me a bird. It'll always be remembered.
It's not really sort of a question. First, I'd like to thank you for giving me some wonderful memories of my childhood and some great matches. I guess I remember Tony's hat-trick against Kettering when he won the Southern League Championship with Jerry Baker's header that won the cup and everything. And of course, the year later, when people seem to feel, when we played Chelsea in the Ian Hutchinson match, next day we were back here to beat Margate to win within a few hours after 14 penalties. But I guess the match that sticks in my heart, and I can remember every Monday, is the Mansfield match. And we got from the 4th division to the 3rd division, and all these years I can still see the goals and everything about that match. Is there one match that would stick in your memory?
Probably not ours. The thing that stands out in my memory is because of what's his name?
What he wanted?
Effort. Who was on the ball?
Right. Okay.
Because he knew nothing whatsoever about football and admitted it. And the day we beat Mansfield, got that long corridor there, and we came off the pitch, he came charging down there, and his exact words were, "Bloody good show, you've done it in spite of us." I'll never forget that. He was the financial director.
There's one quick, there is a question. After that match, there was a rumour that QPR had made you an offer. Was that true? And if it was, do you regret not taking it? Did you think you stayed perhaps too long?
I probably would have taken it if they didn't offer me. They didn't offer me.
They didn't offer it,
They would have taken it anyway.
Did any clubs come in for you?
Sorry?
Did any clubs come in for you while you were here?
No clubs came in for me, but I had a lot of friends who were managers at the same time. That's how I got the players. Those managers would let me know so-and-so would like to go there. But I stuck here. Once I signed a contract, I wanted to see it out. I was loyal to the people that employed me. That's all I was.
Any other questions for Bill?
Well, I'm all right. I've just got started. That's Tony a question. him for a change.
Yes.
Ask him to.
All right.
I'm going in a minute.
Well, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
What about the 3 goals you got against Kettering? Somebody mentioned that earlier. So,
Yeah.
what do you remember about that game?
Well, the thing I remember about it was, I said to Bill, because I still lived in Chelmsford, I said to Bill, I'm definitely not fit for Saturday. He said, I won't say what he said, but he will be. And I came through every morning and had therapy at Cambridge University, didn't I, with that big man. He kept putting this on. Yeah, that's it, yeah. And anyhow, I got fit and got me 3 goals and came off just before the end, so yeah. It was good because that was the first time we'd won the championship at Chelmsford the season before, and Bill and Bill Cassidy, you know, we came back and we'd done it here and all, so it was good. Yeah, very good.
What about the 4 you scored in Margate?
Yeah,
I scored one that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said to him earlier on, I said, can you remember that game at Margate? I scored a goal. Rolliona took a corner and then he's on the volley. The goalkeeper got hold of it and fell back in the goal. And I said, and you scored 2, didn't you? He said, no, I didn't, I scored 4.
Bill, was that the game in the fog? Because I can remember a game at Margate where we were stood at one end,
you know,
and we went in the clubhouse at half time and we didn't know what the score was.
That's right.
We went in the clubhouse at half time, didn't know what the score was.
Going down to that game, I didn't have a centre half to play. Right, so we're travelling down on the bus, and thick of the bag running down there, and the referee said, well, there's no way we're going to get playing today. I said, look, can't we wait till right just before the kick-off? You never know, it might go. 10 minutes before the kick-off, clear as a bell. And I could hear all of them on the bus saying, who's playing centre half then? Who's playing centre half? I didn't tell them how to play it. I enjoyed it as well, because I thought it was like playing against a load of kids.
Do you think you could have played for England?
You
were saying you were the best.
I could have played for England anytime, didn't want me.
All right.
Yeah.
Who's the best player you played with?
The best player I played with?
Yeah.
Bill.
We had Bob at Man City. We had half the team were international. Troutman, if you talk about position, it's got to be Troutman. But we had good players. Everybody at Man City surprised at me when they asked me, who's your favourite player when you played? My favourite player was Joe Hayes, who you probably never heard of. He scored at Wembley, he scored first goal at Wembley. But Joe, and he couldn't see it. He said to me, because I got changed to him in the dressing room, you know, every day for, well, nearly 11 years. Right? And he said to me one day, he said, just imagine how many goals I might score, Bill. He said, if I could see. lovely Lancashire lad, no way, Johnny. And Gil Merrick, when Gil Merrick was married in Birmingham, Joe came in one morning, and me and him used to get in early and play table tennis. And he said, Gil Merrick been on the phone to me, Bill. What for? He said he wanted me to get away from City. He said, he'll give me £1,000 if I can get away. I said, what are you going to do then? He said, I'm not going to do it. He said, I want a fish and chip shop. Fish and chip shop. He finished up with an news agent. But he's got tons of goals, strong as an ox.
You were telling me before the game that you changed the kit to all white.
Yeah.
What was the reason for that?
I didn't like what they were playing in, that's all.
Oh, right, it wasn't because the Leeds at the time were all white, or it was because you just didn't
I
like the
think
kit?
it showed up better anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I object to these. I mean, teams play away now and they're playing something near black, don't they?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's right on people watching on television for a start. You want. I mean, when you want 2 colours that are totally opposite to each other, don't really, don't you? If you're watching on telly. Well, when I watch Manchester United, they don't see any colour because they don't turn up.
Is there any other questions?
You're off, are you?
Bill,
No, not at all.
my first game here was the Chelsea game that you mentioned, so thank you for that, because I've been hooked ever since, and I was 9 at the time. And the first promotion that in my time, was the Mansfield one, and I can remember racing home from here, waiting for the light blue,
to come out. And then going up my local rec with a couple of cans of Coke and reading my light blue, and I was in heaven, and that was a really happy memory for me. What's your favourite memory from your time at this club?
I think it'd have to be when we played Chelsea because I mean I expected that, as I said before. I said, yeah, I told Mr. Well, as true as I'm sitting here, I said they'll win the cup this year, so we'll try and get them up here, and they agreed to that. Well, that was probably my best time. I know gaining promotion was all right, but when you expect it, not so much of a surprise, is it?
Bill, that's super. All right. Yeah. Ta-da. Yeah, lovely. All right. Thank you for the day.
One of the best centre forwards you would ever see.
Is there any other questions?
Yeah, having said that, Bill, who do you consider, he's gone now, the best player you ever signed?
I knew you were going to say that. And my answer is I couldn't pick anybody out as the best player because there are so many good players who did exactly what I wanted, what I asked them to do. But I suppose if I was pinned down, I'd have to turn back to Ian Hutchinson.
Dave likes it.
Because he was just such a lovely chap, you know, and he'd fight till he died. Yeah. I mean, he did. When he went to Chelsea, Matt Wynne, who was a director, I don't know whether you knew Matt Wynne, any of you, but Matt Wynne was a village stand actually. And Matt Wynne just didn't like him. And the reason he didn't like him was when I signed him at his home in Bern, I rang the club to tell them that they signed him, and Jeff Proctor answered the phone. It was a board meeting. Jeff Proctor answered the phone, and I said, can you get Matt Wynne to the phone? No, what do you want? So I said, well, I want to tell him that I've signed Ian Hutchinson from Burton. I'll tell him, because he never told him, did he? So I turned up with Ian Hutchinson eventually, and Matt Wynne at that time was the director in charge of football. And I can understand why he was upset about it. But he, I mean, so one day, I said to him, because I used to get on well with Matt Wynne, he was the one that supplied the money for me to have a club car. And I said to him, I said, Chelsea are playing, whoever it was, Everton it was. I said, Chelsea are playing Everton, do you want to come with me and watch Ian Hutchinson? So he hesitated a bit, he said, all right, then I'll come with you. He said, we'll go in my car. And he said, I'll tell you where to go. But talk about a laugh. He took me all over the place. I mean, I've been down there at umpteen times, but he insisted on going his way. It took us about an hour longer. And he sat there, Ian Hutchinson, because they got a good team then, Chelsea had. And Ian Hutchinson had one of those games where time after time after time he got himself in good positions in front of goal, asked for the ball off the player who got the ball and didn't get it. And I think, what was the player that used to play inside forward for Chelsea at that time?
Tamplin. Bobby Tamplin.
No, not it. Osgood. The time they asked Osgood to, for the ball and he didn't get it. And I said to Ian, because he came to me after the game, he said, what do you think, Bill? I said, I'm going to tell you something now. You're as good as any player on that pitch, and if you get Osgood ignoring you, same as he has been ignoring you each time you've asked the ball, give him a right rollicking. He said, oh, I can't do that. I said, of course you can. Of course you can. He was just a damn good player. And I actually informed him he was going to Chelsea when he was on his honeymoon. You won't believe me. He probably preferred the honeymoon.
Anybody else a question?
Yeah, well, you mentioned earlier that this will never be a football town.
Sorry?
You mentioned earlier this will never be a football town. What do you think was the difference in other places you've been that were actual football towns that you believe were football towns? What made them a football town, and why you don't think this will be a football town?
I don't really know. But I suppose those people who are here regularly take umbrage at that. But it's a fact. It is a fact. It doesn't seem like a football area at all. I mean, it's well known for its university, But apart from that, what is there? I mean, nobody. I mean, I spread the word obviously with the way that we did and getting into the league. That made a big difference.
Yeah.
And all the I used to be out every night doing a football match somewhere, and I'd meet other managers and they'd say, whose car you got? Oh, it's mine. What do you mean it's mine? Well, it's a club car, really. How do you get that? Because they had a Volvo. How do you get that? Because I was meeting other managers who were riding about in minis and that sort of thing, you know. And I know it sounds daft, but I used to raise money because I took the players abroad regularly. Yeah. Young people would know that. And I raised money by playing friendlies. Right? And I agreed that with the directors that we played friendlies, 300, 400 quid a time, because we could all go abroad for that. And that, you see, everywhere I went, I'm talking to managers, hey, is that right? You were in Malta or somewhere? You know what I mean? Or Gibraltar, or it's a fact. And what happens is, that's what players like. They like things like that. They like to think that they're being well looked after and treated and doing things that other players aren't doing at their club. So there's an awful lot to it, awful lot to selling the club really. And it's all benefited me, obviously.
One last question, Barry.
Just following on from that last one, we had a manager recently with a 3-year plan, and I understand that when you came, as I say, I was only 9 at the time, that you said you'd get this club promoted in 3 years. What made you so confident that that would happen?
Just belief in myself. I said, when I went to Doncaster, because I've been to Doncaster and working there before that. I've been working there, they just didn't have the players. But at Doncaster I had Alec Jeffrey. Who's heard of Alec Jeffrey? Yeah. Anybody? Yeah? Alec was one of those players that played for the under-21s when he was about 17 or something like that. Unfortunately, he broke his leg. And he went to live in, they sent him off to Australia, would you believe, to get better. And they put him on Bondi Beach, and Alec was one of those who loved the girls and the booze and all. He had to get better at the time. And when I went to Doncaster, he'd just come back from Australia, and he was about 3 stone overweight. And we used to, cause I've always said that if you want to play football, if you want to get the best out of a footballer, he's got to be as fit as it's possible to be. It's no good saying, right, well, I've got all the skills, I'm a great player on the ball and all that, if you're not fit enough to do it all the time. So Alec Jeffrey, he come back. I'm telling somebody earlier on, we actually got him a pair of like shorts, or knickers if you like, made of plastic that were tight round his thighs, and we go out cross-country running. Frank Marshall, who was my trainer, and myself, by the time we got Doncaster Racecourse, it goes up like that near the end, crossroads from the football ground. And Frank Marshall and myself would be behind him. Frank with one hand on him, me with another, and he'd be saying, stop, let me keep going, come on, keep going. You know, and he did. And I was telling someone earlier that he liked his drink, but he was as good a finisher as ever lived, Alec Jeffrey. And he used to drink a bit. And I used to get phone calls on Friday nights before the game, saying, he's here again, Bill. And they tell me what he'd drunk. And the next day, of course, the Saturday, I'd say, you were at it again last night, weren't you? Yeah, but don't worry, love. He said, don't worry, love, I'll stick the ball in the net for you. And you knew very well that you would. So it's a matter of man management, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just making sure that you've got the best players, it's how you handle them when you get them.
Yeah, that follows on from what Graham was saying as well, about how the players...
Yes, it is man management. And I mean, there's so much emphasis nowadays on coaching, and I don't think that's right. You should take players from what they've got to offer. You know, if they haven't got to offer what you want, then don't bother with them. Don't try and make them that good, because it doesn't work. I don't think it works anyway.
Simple.
Simple. Has anybody got one really last question? If not, then Bill, you'll be in here for a little while, won't you? If anybody wants to have a quick chat or sign an autograph or whatever.
I'm in no hurry, it's always raining in Cornwall.
Just a few thank yous. Thank you, Dennis, for looking after Bill. And whenever you're up here, please come again.
Definitely.
I think it's a shame it's been so long. online museum. It's well worth going to. Facebook, it's got a Facebook site, Barry looks after it. Every day there's something going on it that's telling you about the history on that day. So it's always new, it's always being refreshed, so please go on there. The website is being changed, and over the summer that will be going live, and there is already a lot of interviews, and what today is part of one of many. They came to Cornwall to see you in the summers, and Pat, and who are the other ones you've seen? Tony Butcher,
Russell Crane, Peter Hobbs, Rodney Slack, Bob Bishop we're doing.
Bob Bishop, he's
and Teddy Beld.
He lives in Felixstowe now.
Yeah.
He was the very first professional player at his football club. So, you know, it's an evolving project. It's a wonderful project. Last year we were able to get £10,000 from the National Lottery, so it helped us move on a long way. But like, if you want to be involved, Pat is organising it more, and the team, so become involved. It is well worth being a part of. So thank you very much. Thank you, Bill, for coming.
Can I just say,
I'm grateful to Pat for telling me, because he asked me if there's anything I was disappointed in, and I said that I hadn't been invited back in. But I have now, and I've really enjoyed myself today.
One of the best days of my life was when we won the Southern League. We got into the league. I know, Nigel, I think you're in here, aren't you? Long hair. You're in here as well. Well, you know, thank you very much for those moments you gave us, Bill. Yeah. Thank you.
So it's just, somebody donated a hospital commentary of the Kettering game in 1969 when we won 3-0. And our football historian, who's a bit of a whiz kid with a computer, we finally got it from a tape to tape, sort of tape, onto a disc, and we copied.
Oh, lovely! Thanks very much. I'm going to be rude now. Kettering down, Atkins. What did you do at Kettering? Go on, nothing, did it? Nothing. Anybody can do it.
Picture take. Great thing, picking up a picture take.